Hi lifestyle connoisseurs, welcome to today's episode. Today we're going to be talking about steak and all of the essential details that you need to know. So typically speaking, the measurement method of steak is in ounces or grams. Generally across the board, 8 ounces would be the average size of one serving of steak, with the more expensive cuts of steak popularly cut into smaller portions. As a baseline, the size and thickness of your palm, excluding your fingers, like this, equates to a 4 to 6 ounce serving of beef. When you hear people ask how you'd like your steak done, there are 6 possible answers you can give them. Those are blue, rare, medium, medium well, or well done. Whew, what a mouthful. The scale goes up in order of how long you've cooked the steak for. The longer you cook a steak, the hotter it gets, and as it heats up, the muscle fibers get firm and all of the juices cook out. Although the more experienced chefs may be able to maintain all of its good qualities even when it's well done. But amongst the more seasoned foodies, they tend to go for the lower end of the scale between blue and medium rare. Before we get into the most common types of steak that you can find in grocery stores, I just wanted to go over marbling and what we mean by that. So here we've got a fillet steak. As you can see, it's got lots of meat and very lean around the edges. The other type of steak that you can come across which has more marbling, for example, this ribeye steak that we've got here, has got more fat around the edges, and as you can see, it's got more fat within the meat of the cut as well. So, if we hold the two up next to each other, you can see this one has got more marbling and this one has got less. The fat in steak tends to hold more flavor, so if you're looking for that richer experience of your steak, definitely look out for marbling next time you're shopping. Now let's get back to the serious stuff. So we're going to go through the most common types of steak that you're likely to come across. First up, we've got the sirloin steak. This is the most famous cut of beef, but it's actually generally divided up into 3 smaller cuts. So you've got the top sirloin, the bottom sirloin, and the rear part of the tenderloin. The sirloin steak comes from the hip of the cow. My personal favorite out of the 3 is the top sirloin because it's hugely flavorful and it's often marbled just perfectly. It's also a fairly lean cut of meat, so it's that little bit healthier. Next, we've got the T-bone steak. T-bone is a cross-cut from the forward section of the short loin on a steer's middle back. A T-bone steak contains a strip of the top loin and a chunk of tenderloin, making it near-on meat perfection. You've got the best of both worlds, right? Okay, now we're moving up in the world and we're going to talk about porterhouse steak. To all but the most discerning eye, the porterhouse steak is pretty much the exact same cut as the T-bone steak. The main difference between T-bone and porterhouse is that the porterhouse steak is a little thicker and contains more of the tenderloin cut than you'll find on a T-bone steak. Ribeye is the cut of beef that's taken from the rib of the cow. It's the tastiest and juiciest because it has a high fat content. As you can see here, like we said before, just look at all of that marbling. How awesome is that? To measure its quality, all you need to do is look at how much marbling the ribeye steak has got in it. The more, the better. Simple, right? Last but not least, we've got côte de bœuf, also known as rib steak. Côte de bœuf is a single bone rib of beef. The bone can be trimmed off to create a ribeye steak, which the French call entrecôte. It has all the marbling and all the flavor of the ribeye, with the rib cap of fat, which renders down as the meat cooks for a succulent finish. But if we're really going for the top end of steaks, 2 of the most sought after cuts are Wagyu beef and Kobe beef. You cannot go wrong with one of those 2.